590. It's Tuesday, July 6th, and you're listening to the Geek News Central podcast, sponsored by GoDaddy.com. Geek News Central is a partner of the Tech Podcast Network. Everyone's a great day. It's been beautiful here in Honolulu. Absolutely gorgeous. I hope everyone had a great 4th of July. I've got a lot of content to talk about tonight. You know what comes next. Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphone.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right, I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There is no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Aloha and welcome to the Geek News Central podcast, coming to you as live as it can be from the beautiful state of Hawaii via the Geek News Central studio overlooking Greater Oahu. Yeah, that was, probably most of you listening to the audio portion of the show didn't even hear the mistake I just made because I probably just edited it out. But, I started the show off saying it's Friday instead of Tuesday. Oh, what a knucklehead I am. But, it feels like a Friday. Hey, everyone, welcome to the show. Of course, my name is Todd Cochran. I want to encourage you to get over to geeknewscentral.com and check out all the great content over there. Of course, check out our archive podcast available, the podcast link on the website. And I tell you, the writers, all the contributing editors over at Geek News Central have really been hitting ball out of the ballpark, because a lot of comments coming in from those of you that are actually starting to come to the site on a daily basis and reading the content. So that hard work they're all doing is paying off. We'll have some comment about that at the end of the show tonight. Of course, I want to welcome listeners from 165 countries worldwide. Thanks for tuning in or listening in, or however you're catching the show. It's most appreciated that you are listening. And, of course, tell your friends, family members in those 165 countries. Basically, spread the word about the show. And we want to build audiences internationally. That's going to be the goal here. I'm going to be pushing that a lot over the next couple of months. So, if you're an international listener, we want to hear from you. And you can always send me an audio comment. If you don't want to call into the voicemail hotline, you can email me something, or you can basically use Skype too. It's cheap to call the United States on Skype, and you can do that by calling the voicemail hotline at +1 619 342 7365. Of course, again, email me an audio comment as well at geeknews@gmail.com. So if you're an international listener, love to hear from you and how the show affects you on a day-to-day basis. Of course, sign up for the newsletter. Of course, the newsletter is now a work in progress. We are using a new service. Actually, the service it's a newsletter sending service that's actually by GoDaddy. So we're going to be messing with the template over time. And last week was not quite what I wanted it to be. Obviously, there was a lot of white space in it. Actually, I had someone on Twitter actually comment on that as well. But little by little, I'm going to be testing some templates. And I've actually been promised a template by one of the show fans. So I'm hoping we get that here soon and be able to drop that in as a default template for the show. Hey, make sure, if you're not subscribed already, please do so. And it's real easy to subscribe. Once you're over to geeknewscentral.com, all you got to do is find that orange box, and you'll find the RSS feed for podcasts. It depends on which way you want to watch. If you want to watch or listen. If you want to watch, get the video feed. If you want to listen, just sign up for the podcast feed. I don't intermix content between the two. So audio down the podcast channel, video down the video channel. The videos are pretty big. They're around 600-700 megs, so it is a much longer download. Be aware that will start impacting your hard drive space after you get 4 or 5 episodes downloaded. But just to watch me and then clean them up. Delete them as you go. So of course, if you're watching the show on Roku or Boxy, hey, welcome to the show. And I want to hear from those of you that are on Roku. Pick up your telephones right now and dial 619, actually area code 619-342-7365, and let me know what you're thinking about the show watching via Roku. Hey, I got. I don't want to really go too deep into this, but I kind of knew last show that I would get some feedback for announcing essentially the investment in the show. Um, I was prepared for it, and I think I got 12 emails, negative emails, which was less than I thought I was going to get. But about 10 of them were constructive and very good. I want to thank those 10 for their feedback, their constructive feedback. It's appreciated, and I've responded to each of you individually. But there's two emails that came in that are not child safe. I'm not able to read them on the show. All I can say, they were vile, mean, derogatory, and one of them indicated I was trying to take advantage of the audience. I think you guys all know I've been very upfront about the goals of the show, where I want to take it. Those of you that have been longtime listeners of the show know the vision and where I'm heading. But, I think if a little perspective is needed, and I took and just did a real rough calculator. Well, just open up a calculator on the desktop here, and right now the show process is probably about 5 hours since I've added the video process to it. It's probably about from start to finish. By the time I get it uploaded to YouTube and to distribute it to the variety of places, about 5 hours to do 90 minutes or 75 minutes worth of content. And if I go back, and I wasn't doing that many hours before, maybe 3.5 hours before we introduced video. And so I did some averaging, and I'm using about, well, if since I've been starting doing the show, I put in about 3,000 hours. So over 6 years, that's not too bad. But if you break it down in weeks, that's 73 40-hour work weeks since I started podcasting 6 years ago. That equates to about 13 weeks a year. In other words, if you look at an average work week of 40 hours, and, I'm putting in about 40 hours a month doing just 2 episodes a week. Many of you do not know this, but at this time I don't take a salary from Raw Voice. You guys know that I work feverishly over there for that. The show is my source of income. That's how I do what I do in the studio. I didn't get no supplement from Raw Voice from a salary standpoint. And the reason that I don't take a salary at Raw Voice, and I could, is that we're building and we continue to adding people. And we're trying to really, we're adding more people to the payroll, and I'm last. I will get paid last of all the folks that are as we go. And but my main goal is to continue to do the exciting things that we're doing, like the introduction of the Roku Box video channel this year, and more channels, more distribution. That stuff's not cheap to do, so I forego a salary from that. And the Q3 campaign stuff that just kicked off, I probably invested time-wise probably about 120 hours to get everything done, to get all the shows up running, the hundreds of emails I have to reply to, and we're delivering hundreds of thousands of dollars every quarter to content creators out there that are part of our community. I dedicate a lot of time and effort to making sure that content creators get paid. So I don't want to sound like I'm whining, because I'm not. I fully understand what this show is about and what this audience is about. And I knew that I was going down a new path by saying, okay, I'd like to, take the show to the next level and asking for a donation. And I told you I wouldn't talk about that throughout the show, but I did want to address the two vile emails that I got. I'm like, it's completely voluntary. Someone that doesn't have money in this economic times, I don't expect them to feel obligated to donate. But someone that gets value out of the show month after month after month, show after show after show, it's great. Now, obviously, I still take advertising in the show. That pays my light bill and keeps me being able to do what I do. So I don't want to harp on a long time on this, but please understand that really I'm trying to build the show for the benefit of the community, because things are changing very, very fast in the space. All of us, that many of you that are subscribing today, are listening, via your mobile device. You listen via your iPhone, you listen via your Android device, your BlackBerry. You're watching online, you're watching via YouTube. Very few people are watching via YouTube, but what's happening though is the content distribution platforms are going to get wider, and we're going to be able to go a lot more places that we weren't able to before. Podcasting is not dead by any means. It is the means on which we're able to distribute the show far and wide, and has been very successful up to this point. So, you guys have been supportive, and everyone, it continues to, the numbers continue to go up, and that's all I can, that's all I can be, is I can be humble in the fact that that's what's going on. And I do want to thank all of you for your longtime support of the show. And I guess that's the most important thing. But if you have nothing good to say, maybe sometimes it's not worth saying, especially you can be nice and give me feedback. And like 10 other emails were great feedback. But 2 of them were reminding me of a show in the first year of podcasting. It really did. So we'll see, maybe this will backfire in my face and I'll end up having a bad month. But I love you guys, and you're part of the Ohana, and I just wanted to be straight up, as if we, Ohana obviously means family, and that's why we have the Ohana stores. We want you guys to be able to find stuff that you're able to wear and wear proudly, that you're a fan of the show, and that helps the show as much as donating, buying a T-shirt and wearing it around town, and people read that and I say, oh, what's that all about? And they check us out. So there's multiple ways that you can support the show. So let me go ahead here and get into the rest of my stuff. The insiders, I have a confession to make. No insider got done this weekend as was planned, but I promise. I think I said that last week. I better not promise. I will attempt to get an insider out this week. So thanks for everyone that's contributing as an insider. Okay, hey, we've got a prize to give away, right? We got an A63 to give away. Lenovo A63. And I'm going to give it away in a few minutes. I'll make you guys wait here, okay? Hey, don't forget, new items in the Ohana store. Go over to cafepress.com/Ohana store. Of course, if you want to become an insider, geeknewscentral.com/insider. And we want to thank our returning sponsor, GoToMeeting, again. And this is something new, is kind of cool. Actually, I was playing with it today as Barry, our finance director at Raw Voice, I called him and said, hey, I got some questions on some invoices. We were, reconciling some things. And I said, I want to do, can you come up and look at my screen? He says, hang on. I got this iPad app loaded. And so he loaded GoToMeeting on the iPad and was able to actually see my screen on his iPad while he was in bed. I thought this was pretty cool. So I'm having a business meeting while he's in bed. But, you've heard me talk about GoToMeeting. It's the easiest and most convenient way to host online meetings from your PC and Mac. And, of course, now you can take it to go on the iPad tablet. GoToMeeting, brought to you by Citrix, has a free, catch this out, free app built specifically for the iPad. And it really makes online meetings more accessible than ever. With GoToMeeting on your iPad, you can attend online meetings on the go at a cafe, in a hotel, or wherever you are. Just download the GoToMeeting app and join sessions on your iPad in seconds. See the host computer screen on your screen, iPad screen, and connect to audio through your iPad over the phone. So that's kind of cool. So connect to the audio through your iPad. I have to ask Barry on how that worked, because he was on a landline with me at the time. But so as a listener to this show, you can get a free 30-day trial for this. Visit gotomeeting.com/techpodcast. That's gotomeeting.com/techpodcast with an S for your free 30-day trial. Isn't that cool? You can, for those of you who have iPads and you have a GoToMeeting account or attend a GoToMeeting session, you can just log in. Hey, I want to go ahead and let's see if I can cue this up. There's a great page over on Geek News Central. Basically it's geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy, and it's where my GoDaddy promo codes are at. And you can save on money on GoDaddy hosting and domains, and you can support the show by using our non-expiring GoDaddy promo codes. And let's see if I can bring that up. There we go. And Todd will save you 10% on non-domain orders. Todd20 will save you 20% on a 1-year shared hosting account. Aloha will get you $20 off any order of $75 or more. Isn't that cool to own that? At the Aloha be that promo code for my show, one of my promo codes. Of course, Geek, get $5 off any order of $30 or more. ComSale, get .coms at $7 $2.67, and works on renewals as well. And we want to thank GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here. And check them out at GoDaddy. Share that information with your friends. Share that link. Blog to that link if you are so inclined. That helps us build up page rank on Google. That's what it's all about. And thanks for GoDaddy for being a sponsor here. And use those codes. All right, let's give that Lenovo ThinkCentre A63 away. And actually had my kids help me out on this earlier. They came in, and we had a huge list. I had to export the newsletter list because all the names in there. I had to, some of you sent one email for 3 entries, so I had to go through and get those divided out. So it took us probably about 45 minutes to get this done. But let me go ahead and announce our winner. It is Katie Sexton. Katie Sexton. You have won the Lenovo A63. Congratulations. She'd put a note in her entry that her husband is a full-time IT student, and they actually, and many of you left comments, but I thought it was kind of interesting that it landed on this one. But she says that they really need a new computer for school. They have a couple of kids, and this would really help them out. So congratulations to Katie being our winner of the Lenovo A63. And we'll get in touch with her. Hopefully she'll get in touch with me. And we'll get a shipping address, and we'll get that FedExed out to her immediately. So congratulations to Katie. Katie. Again, correct. Congratulations to her. Hey, one thing. We've got a Roku that I gave away several months ago that I have had one email from the winner basically, and I said, I need your address, and I haven't got the address back. I'll see if I have to pull that up and get the name. I know he's a listener of the show. If you know who you are and you haven't got your Roku, I need your address. Okay, I need your address to ship this thing. Because if I don't get your address, I can't ship it. So I've sent a couple of emails. Try me, if you tried emailing me already, do geeknews@gmail.com, and also do a CC to like CEO@rawvoice.com. That way you can double it up, and it should, one of those, it should get through. So so I can get that out. It's sitting over here in a box, and it's ready to ship. So I want to get that out. I think that's it. That's all I got. Let's go ahead and get into the regular content tonight. I got a stack of stuff for you here. Great amount. I was actually surprised. You know, coming off a holiday, I'm worried about the amount of content. And what was going on here? I got an email from someone that I should respond to. I saw this. What's it saying? Because I just saw the... Oh, okay. Never mind. Thought this was some... one of the regular listeners that watched the show, actually, I saw it come up in a flash. It said, hey, Todd, something about show, and it is unrelated. Okay, let's go ahead and open up Chrome here and see if we can keep it from crashing. And so far, Flash is running good. Hey, how many of you longtime internet users know Gopher, the Gopher protocol? Are you familiar with that? Well, the folks over Ars Technica is reporting that the folks at Overbyte, the Overbyte project, and I wasn't familiar with this before, they have brought the Gopher protocol to Android. And I thought, that's pretty cool. Now, the Overbyte project is an open source effort to produce browser plugins and client applications that will enable support for Gopher. Now, Gopher is an early network protocol that preceded HTML, and it was used, basically what Gopher was used for was you went and got stuff. And you queued up where you wanted to go, and it grabbed and it pulled stuff in. Used to be that was the way people shared a lot of music. It was kind of the predecessor to peer-to-peer, and but the charm of Gopher is it really offers a consistent navigation paradigm and a lightweight content delivery format that really makes it fast. And I don't know if that's the reason why they're doing that for the Android platform or not, but if any of you got this loaded on your Android, love to hear your feedback on this. I'll have a link up to this in the show notes, and you can check it out. And I know some of you hardcore internet fans will want to do that. Hey, my good friends up in Canada, yes, this is good news for you. If you know, last year, that cable and DSL providers were essentially blocked or outlawed from filtering or basically IP blocking some bandwidth intensive applications. Well, it appears that there was a little bit of a loophole, and they've shut the door on it. So now the mobile operators are going to have to play amongst the same rules as your DSL and your cable providers, and they're not going to be allowed to block traffic. So that's pretty exciting stuff for all of you that are in Canada. It's basically have applied those rules to your mobile providers as well. I don't know if there was any actual how we should say, any reports. I didn't see anything in the past, and in the news I've seen where that the mobile providers were basically delaying traffic, but that they can't do it now, at least not legally. Another good article, and this is pretty exciting stuff here. Samsung and LG have announced officially that they're going to launch Android-based tablets this year. So the iPad is going to have a run for its money here. So we know that the strategy probably is about the same for Google, moving the Android operating system onto tablets. So LG says it plans to have a product ready to ship in the fourth quarter. That means Christmas. And Samsung's going to launch the tablet with Galaxy branding in the third quarter. So we'll see that here within the next 3 months. So these are supposed to be consumer-based products, not business-based. Although Cisco has revealed plans to launch a business-oriented Android applet in early 2011. I'm almost betting you that CES 2011 is almost going to be all about the tablet. Hey, one thing I do want to mention here, speaking of CES 2011, do you believe we're already in planning for CES 2011? And as usual, we're going to be looking for some folks to come out and help us again this year, and looking for some folks now. Generally, what we try to do is get some folks that would like to volunteer to come out and see the show and also help us with camera humping and and just enjoy the environment. So it's one of those events where we're looking for some volunteers. So if you are interested in being a volunteer for the 2011 Consumer Electronics Show, we've got some exciting stuff really in work, and I'm hoping that it all comes to play. And all I can say is a lot more live. And really, I wanted to buy a backpack this year so that we could have a backpack that would be able to stream. But it just doesn't seem like it's going to be in the deck of cards just because the cost is so high for such little usage throughout the year. I really had to balance whether or not it was going to work. But I think we're going to have to hodgepodge something together with some notebooks. And we'll make it work, even if I have to buy 10 batteries for each laptop. But we're gonna be doing a lot of live streaming from the show, and hopefully we'll have a booth. We're trying to get together with the CEA and talk to them about that. So we're going to need manpower, and if you want to be part of the excitement that goes on with CES 2011. Put your name in the hat now so you can start planning for January, which is really right around the corner for us. We start earlier every year on planning this event, but we're pretty excited about what we're going to do and what we've kind of got planned for 2011. And also, we're on the hunt for sponsors. So if you want to be a sponsor a segment, or a specific part of the show, the back channel or something like that, let us know. We've got sponsorship packages. All right, if any of you were on YouTube this weekend, I hope you didn't fall to this hack that took place on YouTube where a number of sites, or a number of popular videos were being redirected to porn sites. It appears that pranksters have really had a field day with YouTube on the 4th of July. And different pop-ups, there was all kinds of stuff going on. They were redirecting people to, disgusting sites. Google finally got a handle on it, but a lot of people were affected. So it was a injection, some sort of a server-side scripting, cross-site scripting vulnerability in YouTube's comment section, and so of course, as few staff they probably had on hand that day a great day to have an attack. Now, there was a whole bunch of stuff that happened on the 4th of July. We'll talk about some more issues that popped up as well later in the show. Hey, we're on the telegraph.co.uk, and I know we have vision impaired folks that listen to the show, and this article, you guys got to go read. Car for the Blind Under Development. This is pretty cool. Now, this is a car that's being tested. It can be driven by completely blind motorists, and it could be built as early as next year. The National Federation of the Blind and Virginia Tech say they hope to demonstrate a prototype equipped with technology that helps a sightless person to get behind the wheel in 2011. Now, get behind the wheel and actually being on the street, there's two different things, but this is fantastic news. It's called non-visual interface and will guide its driver through traffic by transmitting information about nearby vehicles or objects. It vibrating gloves or streams of compressed air will basically give the telltale signs of what the person has to do in order to stay on the center line. So I think what we're really looking at here, ultimately, and I talk about this all the time with my wife, I'm like, in Honolulu, the traffic is horrendous. I'll be at a stoplight, and I'll be like 30 cars back, and it aggravates me because when the light turns green, it's like every car in that line has to wait. I mean, it could be a seamless, everyone just moves together type of thing, but no. By about the 10th car that actually looks up and sees that the light has changed, by the time he stomps on the gas, the light's already turning yellow. But we're going to get to a point where we just got to be able to drive smarter. And I look forward to the day where I can, get in my vehicle and I can put in an address and say, go, and get it on the street, and this thing takes over. Gets me there the most economical way, avoids wrecks, avoids traffic jams. It just has got to be the way we're headed, right? And I know we've probably a long ways, probably 10 years or more before being able to completely have an automated vehicle. But we're close. I think we're a lot closer than what we think we are. You look at what I saw at Ford with their parking assist. I mean, this car parked itself better than I ever could have. It just did it. And so we'll see. We'll see what happens. But cars for the blind, drivers basically it's under development. So very cool stuff. We'll see where this technology goes. The Internet Explorer, believe it or not, for the first time in a long time, has gained some market share. In June of 2010, IE had 60.32% of the browser market. Firefox had 23.81%. It's very much just when people come to Geek News Central, they're not using IE. Chrome, 7.24%. Safari, 4.85%. Opera, 2.27%. And other browsers, 1.51%. Here's a pretty good article over on the BBC. It talks about, should we trust the wisdom of crowds? And if you have a crowdsource, we crowdsource here on this show as well, right? I ask for help on stuff. I ask for feedback. I ask for, listeners ask for help. Sometimes we're able to get them help. Sometimes we're not. And really, I think it sums it up pretty close. A problem shared is a problem halved. In other words, do you really get the right answer? Well, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And sometimes I give you guys the wrong gouge, and you guys very quickly correct me. But this article goes into crowdsourcing and how it has been successful in some instances and not so successful in others. Talks about companies that actually found $3 billion worth of gold after a corporation basically open sourced their geological maps and basically asked the scientific community, where's the gold? And they actually were able to find the location of obviously a very rich vein of gold, and very, plentiful, I guess is a better word. But this is pretty good stuff here. And I've got a couple of great articles tonight. This is one of them. I want you guys to make sure you go over and actually read the full article. And there's another one that's going to be later in the show that is, well, it's death by PowerPoint, 216 PowerPoint slides. But I sat here for 40 minutes and went through every one of them earlier this afternoon We'll talk about that later in the show. Hey, here's a question I'm sure many of us ask from time to time. You know, if you go on eBay or you go on an auction site and you start bidding on something that maybe has had no action on it, all of a sudden people get interested in it and start bidding on it. Do you ever wonder if it's really the person that listed the product? Is it that person that's actually bidding against you? Of course, in the UK, they had an individual who has agreed to pay £5,000 in fines and costs for bidding on his own items to increase the cost. He was using a single username to list stuff and a single username to bid against it. Of course, they were able to detect that pretty quickly, as this guy was, there's that cross correlation. Every time this guy put something up, the same guy bid on the other items. But, I wonder how well eBay really is able to stop that erroneous type of activity. And have any of you ever wondered? I know I have. When early, especially maybe not recently, but in the early days of eBay, I always wondered if someone that had listed was bidding against me. Do you think that still happens? Love to hear your feedback on this. geeknews@gmail.com. Voicemail hotline is 619-342-7365. Hey, the folks over at TechCrunch have come across some info that may indicate that the competition is coming to Skype. Google Voice obviously is a great product. I'm using it now a lot. A lot of people are actually starting to dial in order to get a hold of me. You guys know that I publish my telephone number on my webpage, and where it actually rings to my phone. But I use Google Voice now. I used to put the actual cell phone number up there. It still rings my cell phone, but it seems to be working out real well. But Google Voice has announced that through their purchase, of course, they purchased Gizmo 5, I guess last year or last November. So there's some indication that there may be a Skype competitor being tied into Google Voice from the folks at Gizmo 5. And it is a desktop application, and it kind of goes against everything Google has done in that they have typically always had just it's basically web-based stuff, not a lot of actual desktop applications. So we'll have to see how this turns out. But rumor is, at least, that Google may be very close to announcing a competitor to Skype. I think Skype's got a big-time head start on everybody. They're going to be they're the 500-pound gorilla when it comes to this type of service. Well, the big deal, of course, is everyone wants to get Flash running on the iPad. They want to kind of thumb their nose at Steve Jobs. But if you have a jailbroken iPad, you may be in luck here, because a company called the app was developed by Comex. It's called Frash. It's still not available It isn't currently available for wide release, but it's going to be shortly. So if you've got a jailbroke iPad, the folks over at Comex are going to have this application called Frash that's going to allow you to run Flash apps or Flash on your iPad. Now, they're saying that they're basically tweaking the code from what they used in the Android. So we'll have to see what happens with this. But they want to get Flash running on the iPad. And actually, I got this covered later in the show, but there may be some laws going into effect in the European Union that may force Apple to allow Flash to run on the iPad based upon this new law that's being introduced in the EU. All right, over at digitaltrends.com, and I covered this at Geek News Central as well. I linked to the article. Here's my advice to all of you, and you need to really pay attention here, okay? Listening? I would remove your credit card information from the Apple App Store, or log into Apple, go into your store, go into your profile, and just remove your credit card for the time being. Apparently, what's going on is that some apps or some developer somehow, some way, is charging folks for multiple applications, primarily in the iBook section. And some users have reported as much as $150 to $600, with the largest charges so far up to $1,600 being put on one's card from the App Store. And how they did that was the game itself allowed you to buy credits to get some sort of points or something. I don't know exactly how that worked, but essentially, one guy's credit card got hit between 14 and 1,600 bucks. Of course, all those charges can be contested with your Visa provider. Make sure you're using a Visa card that has some sort of has real good consumer protection, because if you do leave your credit card on the App Store, but Apple has not officially responded to this yet, but this is bad. It really, really is, and it makes you wonder if you can trust what's going on in the App Store, and if there needs to be some sort of validation process for developers that, some sort of Duns and Bradstreet type of ranking. I don't know how they're going to do this. I'm sure we're going to see more and more of this type of activity because, scammers out there see this as the next cash cow. And when something's directly linked to your credit card, and it could get ugly real quick. So I'm sure Apple will make good on it, but just be aware of it. It's being reported right now that Droid is the Droid X is winning the winnings hands down when it comes to battery life. People are really impressed so far with the device available from Verizon, and are going to be available from Verizon. It's the tests so far have shown that this particular phone lasts 2 to 3 days on a single battery charge, even doing normal stuff. Now I'll believe it when I see it, but Verizon itself is saying the Droid X has 8 hours of talk time and 220 hours of standby time. But the folks, I guess, they've got their hands on this that really didn't do too much of a scientific test, said that it went about 3 days. So only time will tell. How's your? My iPhone needs to be charged, I guess, probably at about the 8 to 10 hour mark of normal usage. What are you guys seeing on your Droids? Of just standard usage. Little video, little audio, little talk, little text. Little Twitter, little. What are you guys seeing on your Droids? Love to hear your feedback on that. Right, a little bit of trouble over at the International Space Station. The Progress resupply craft flew right by the International Space Station the first day it was supposed to dock, but apparently had some sort of data link failure. But good news, the crew was able to capture the spacecraft. It's docked now at the International Space Station, and good to go. They really don't know what happened, but the second go-around worked, and they're actually saying it. There was some sort of a TV transmitter that was actually causing the interruptions. Kind of interesting. There that they've actually already isolated what went wrong here. So we'll see where they go if they figure anything else out. But resupply ship is docked. All right, I don't know if you're a Lady Gaga fan or not. I know my kids go around here singing her songs, driving me absolutely crazy. And but she set the first Facebook record of going over 10 million fans. So she's become the first living person to have more than 10 million fans on Facebook. Her tally right now is 10,673,476. I don't know how long it took her to get there, but she is now above some Texas Hold'em players and some other websites. So 10 million fans on Facebook. What is that? 10 million. I can't even imagine. Can you imagine having 10 million Facebook fans? Just the power to reach 10 million people. That's amazing. It really, really is. If you really think about that, I feel lucky to reach the number of people on this show that I do every day, or twice a week. But 10 million, that's just extraordinary numbers. It really, really is. Well, about a year ago, we talked about helium. Yes, helium, the gas that can make you talk probably real close to the way I talk right now. And actually, what kids, get in balloons and so forth. But apparently there is, not an unlimited supply of helium. And there's potential helium shortages forthcoming. So a Nobel laureate, Robert Richardson, is arguing for ending market distortions. In other words, he thinks that the price of helium needs to be increased 20-fold to deal with the supply and demand issue that's going to be forthcoming here in the next 10 years. So we'll see what happens with this. But very bold comments, and we'll see what the world body does on this. I don't know. But I'll have to do some more research on this and talk about it a little more. I'll have to dig in deeper. You know, the federal government is always known for really being very tight on their IT infrastructure. But if you work at the TSA, you got an email on Friday, and this was courtesy of CBS News. They actually had something in here worthwhile to talk about. But there was a broadcast to all TSA employees. And here, check this out. It says, Office of Information Technology, in collaboration with the Office of something, it's blocked out here. Beginning July 1st, TSA begin blocking the following: chat messaging, controversial opinion sites, criminal activity. How would you know, how would they know a site has criminal activity? Extreme violence, including cartoon violence and gruesome content. They block gaming. Now, it doesn't say how the TSA will determine if a website is expressing controversial opinions, but isn't that like freedom of speech? Controversial opinions. This show and my website could be considered to have controversial opinions and could be blocked by the TSA. I can understand chat messaging, blocking sites that have some sort of criminal activity. I can understand blocking adult sites. I can understand blocking gaming sites, but blocking sites that have a controversial opinion. Anybody listen to the show that works at TSA? Love to hear what's changed over there on your computer systems if you're willing to talk about it. So, or just email me, say it's confidential, whatever. I won't put your name on the show. So let me know. Let me know what your thoughts are on being barred access to controversial opinion content. Hey, there's a good article on NPR talks about the summer of 1962 and what we saw here, or what they saw here in Honolulu. Of course, back in the 60s, we were still doing a lot of nuclear testing, and it actually's got some pretty interesting pictures here of Honolulu at night and the very eerie sky that was made from a hydrogen bomb that was exploded 250 miles above the Pacific Ocean. But pretty interesting video. Some footage that's never been really released before. So if you're into this kind of stuff, you want to see, look back at the archives of what we did in Cold War days. Of course, with this latest spying, I guess we're still in the Cold War. But Atomic Rainbow over Honolulu. So I thought that was interesting. And you watch the video. It's by NPR. So the link will be up in the show notes. Now, you have to laugh. This is a good one here. The UK's The Guardian has always been a strong advocate of keeping online news free. And they pointed out how paywalls are generally a very bad idea. Now, Robert Murdoch's Times of London has recently put up a paywall. And I wonder how that's affecting those of you that are in the UK. And we'll actually put this is an article over on Tech Dirt. But one of the bloggers that was at the Times of London basically told the organization that he didn't want his content blocked behind a firewall. He was basically someone that was contributing to the website. I guess he wasn't even getting paid. If he was, must be it wasn't too much, because now this individual is writing for the Guardian. So Murdoch puts up a paywall and he starts losing some popular bloggers to the competition. Interesting development there. So only time will tell how this all will turn out. Okay. I don't know if I talked about this in the last show or not, but if I didn't, this is a good one, and it's worth repeating. The pirate party in Sweden. Okay, you guys remember that, right? The pirate party. You know what I got going on here? I'm going to interrupt myself. I have a Logitech trackball mouse that I absolutely love, and I told you guys I bought a number of them, and this one's lasted a couple of years, but now the execute button, the left-hand button, is starting to want to stick on me, and so I am very close to digging out one of those mouse pads that I have in storage. This thing, when you have a mouse that's sticking and you're trying to go through the show and you're trying to do 4 or 5 things at once, and you look over and say, "That's not the page I want to be on." It's very irritating. But let's go ahead and get back to the pirate party. The pirate party wants to host the Pirate Bay from inside the Swedish Parliament. Yes, that's correct. The Pirate Party wants to actually host the servers for the Pirate Bay inside the Swedish Parliament. Now, they got some hard work to do here because they have to get so much percentage of, I think how it works is they have to, in order to be recognized as a viable party in the Parliament, they have to get like 6 or 7% of the actual vote. And once they do that, then they'll be able to actually occupy offices at the Parliament. And when they do that, they're going to say they're going to put up servers for the Pirate Bay. Now, some are saying that this may be a ploy on just to get publicity for the party, but this is pretty cool. They made a statement. Sweden has long been a nation at the forefront of IT, but we have fallen in the rankings, largely because today's politicians do not see the connection between file-sharing culture and future industry skills. We have now moved from place 3 to 8 in available household bandwidth. We have now moved from place from 3rd to 8th in available household bandwidth. We can never accept the copyright industry's way of systematically and legally harassing anyone who tries to build the next generation industry. This approach is criminal in the world and should be criminal in Sweden also. Professional saboteurs are professional criminals whoever they get their money from. So this is a comment they made. So kind of an interesting comment by the Pirate Party in Sweden. And any listeners from Sweden, I'd love to hear you guys' feedback on their comments there. All right, AT&T is going to be getting the Windows Phone 7 apparently soon because they're starting to receive materials about the Windows Phone 7. And, of course, with the embarrassing Kin issue, with them only having it out, a month or something before they killed it, we'll have to see how the Windows Phone 7 falls out here. If it's just going to be another DUDE, or if it will actually make an impact. Apparently, this new retail signage is going to be implemented in stores on July 24th. So we'll see whether or not this actually happens as Windows Phone 7 actually is introduced to the marketplace at that time or not. And if it does, it'll be a little bit earlier than planned. Hey, the folks over at Engadget have a pretty good article on pressure-sensitive drawing headed to the iPad. And when I first saw this, I had to laugh. And I'm going to show this to all of you that are actually on Ustream right now. That's not what I wanted. There we go. Let's bring that up. Wrong. Too many buttons here. Now, when you guys look at this picture, you guys remember Etch-a-Sketch? What are those Etch-a-Sketches? $4.99, $5. This looks like about a $600 Etch-a-Sketch. Actually, it's an AT&T 3G model, so probably about $700. Yeah, they're using a special pen to draw on an iPad. Now, while it may look cool, what they have drawn on there, I can do that with a $4.95 Etch-a-Sketch that I can get from, I think, almost any toy store. And he may be probably the inventor of it. He probably doesn't even know that those exist. So, funny. All right, this is a little scary here. I've told you guys already that the way cars are getting now, that if you are in an accident, cars will now record really the last few seconds of your driving before the accident happened. And, it could implicate you in a negative way in a police investigation, especially if you hurt somebody or it's some sort of a lawsuit or so forth. But the Intel connected car is going to record your bad driving for posterity, and it takes over if you really screw up. Intel's latest research day has sprung up a new vision for a smart vehicle, and this is one that kind of really makes me go, Cameras and sensors attached to an Intel connected car will record data about your speed, steering, and braking, and upon the event of an accident, and check this out, it will forward that data to the police and your insurance company. Yes, I just read that's what's going to do. It's going to forward the information about your driving to the police and your insurance company. If Intel actually tries to implement this, their stock will go down faster than a sinking battleship. Can you imagine Americans allowing or putting up with this sort of an invasion of privacy? Can you imagine? Vehicles already, most vehicles, I think Fords are the last 6 seconds before an accident, it captures that data, your braking, your speed, all that. But imagine if it's given that to, if it's tracked minutes upon or hours upon hours of driving activity. There's a lot of people could end up in jail. You've had a bad day. You're rushing to work. You're 15 miles an hour over the speed limit. You've been frustrated at a stop sign, so you punch it when light goes green. All these factors, and if you have an accident, one day of bad judgment, because everybody has a bad day, could end up losing your insurance and having to do time. And now I don't condone aggressive driving or, when an accident happens. Obviously, people don't like to see people get hurt, especially if someone is at fault. But I don't know if I feel very comfortable having a vehicle that would be calling home to mama. What do you guys think? It scares me a little bit. Not a little bit, a lot. Okay, we've talked enough about that. Here's a new form of spying on you. Researchers are saying that any USB peripheral could steal your data, even a coffee cup warmer. Now, I've always been a little leery about all these devices that plug into USB ports. They're pretty big they're pretty big. Usually, that thing that will cool your drink or warm it. It's a pretty big device. There could be all kinds of electronics in there. All it would take would be a single chip with some embedded code. And that data could be sent back to China, other countries that make the devices. None of this stuff is tested and regulated, and so right now they're saying, essentially engineers at the Royal Military College of Canada say that the plug-and-play functionality built into most computers automatically trust whatever's plugged into the USB slot. And he says that doesn't just go for flash drives left on the street by someone, but all manners of other peripherals as well, as the trio of triumphant researchers demonstrated when they presumably infiltrated colleagues' offices with a totally sweet spy keyboard. Gave them a keyboard, they plugged it in. It was basically spying on them. So be careful where you're buying stuff. Only buy stuff from reputable companies, and because you never know what payload is in there. I think it's an effective threat. Think about the industrial espionage that could happen if, for example, Company X bought a whole supply of keyboards from a third-party vendor, got those, plugged them into the machines, and all those keyboards were collecting data and basically sending that back to a third party who was selling that information to another company. It's, this stuff is already bad enough when it's coming in via software and embedding in your computer, but people don't really think about, keyboards or any other types of devices, but it's truly a threat now. All right, Opera 10.6. Has hit Windows and Mac and Linux with a faster JavaScript, Windows WebM and video support. So this new version, and everyone's saying it's fast, fast, fast. So if you're an Opera fan, Opera 10.6 is available for you to download. Got to show you this vest. It's called the Scott Vest. And, oh, come on, load up page. It's found it over at gatling.com. Let me load this up. When you guys see this, this is truly the ultimate geek's vest or jacket. Oh, I wish here in Hawaii we don't have much need for. Oh, come on. Copy. And we're going to paste and go here. There we go. Let me go ahead and switch this out. It's by Scott Vest. I guess scottvest.com. And it's a carry-on jacket that's supposed to be made for you when you travel. It's a trench coat. It's long enough where you can put some shirts and shoes in the bottom of it. You can load it with your iPad, your iPhone, a camera, all kinds. This thing has got more pockets than you. When you see this thing, you're going to be like, you're going to have to take this jacket off, lay it out flat to let it go through the x-ray machine. But it's got a no-bulge pocket design, a complete weight management system. Andy, if you're listening, or Jeffrey, this may be the new jacket, my friend, for CES. We may have found this. If it isn't too hot, maybe we found our new clothing wear there for the show. I don't know, but no, I don't think there's anything. There's no way you could get me to wear one of these things. And people be like rolling their eyes. Total nerd jacket, but we are geeks, right? Well, Blockbuster, they've avoided bankruptcy, but if you own stock in them, sorry, they're getting delisted off the New York Stock Exchange. This is not good boding for Blockbuster, so we'll see if they're able to regroup here. But I could see them having to really retool here very quickly in order to survive. They've been impacted heavily by Redbox and Netflix, and the shares were only trading at 18 cents. A couple other companies I know out there in space are trading at that range as well that are in trouble too. But anyway, it's amazing. 18 cents. Powerhouse goes from the top of the food chain to absolutely the bottom. A little space news here. NASA has successfully tested an autonomous lunar lander. It's codenamed Genie. It's got the video here for it. It's a pretty good 6-minute video. Those of you that engineer types would geek out on this. So I'll have this link up in the show notes. Hey, those of you that read Geek News Central have already seen this already. I should have brought this up when I was actually talking about GoDaddy. But if you get over to GoDaddy, they got a new place to put the promo code. So you got to look very carefully. And you can just go to Geek News Central. Link will be up in the show notes for this. But I actually got the article here. But you can see that there's a new place to put the promo code now when you're checking out. And that's important because you guys use my promo codes. You need to know where that's at. It's easy to miss. And actually, I think I'm going to send a complaint over to the folks over there. It's actually too easy to miss. And doesn't bode well for all of us that are trying to get you guys to use the promo codes. Hey, Trucker Tom did an article on will you survive the coming changes? And it goes along with some of the stuff I've been talking about really having a lot more distribution choices, having a lot of ability to get just what you want online and not having to pay or be held hostage. Trucker Tom cut his digital TV connection here recently, and he's completely now internet-based, and he's using a variety of devices, and he's been writing about his experience with that, along with he's been doing some articles on his HTC Evo by Sprint. And so you'll definitely want to check those two articles out. But he's been doing some updates on living with the Sprint HTC. And this is the second update on this particular, his utilization of this device. And he's actually making me really sit there and kind of say, oh, it looks pretty sexy, So a lot of stuff he's got going on with this. This is a pretty good phone. And I think based upon everything I've seen if you're a Sprint user, this is the phone you want to go down and grab. But so far, good reviews on this thing across the space. You guys know that of course, we've got a Dyson vacuum here at the house. And I'll be honest with you, that thing, there's only one other vacuum that I know that has more vacuuming power than the Dyson. And, but we have a Dyson here. And every year, he runs a contest where he takes inputs on cool devices that would potentially be making make it into the Dyson line of products. And this new thing is called motorized shoes. And so we'll see what happens with this, if this actually makes the cut. But this was on Gizmodo, actually available over at the JamesDysonAwards.org website as well. So I'll have both those linked up in the show notes. But anyway, motorized shoes. You know, it makes you think a little bit. We're already fat. We need to walk. We don't need to be having assisted walking. You know, let's be honest, okay? We need exercise. I need exercise, and how lazy are we gonna get? Motorized shoes? You know, you see kids running around with those wheelies. If it's anything like that, I'd end up breaking my neck. But yeah, motorized shoes. Boy, what's next on the idea? Hey, pretty cool picture by NASA. I'll have it up in the show notes. And it reminds me of a picture I took many, many, many years ago. And what it is this is a picture that was taken by the International Space Station. And it sees various layers of the atmosphere. And there's a peak of the sun coming through in a sunrise. It's a pretty amazing picture. But probably 25 years ago, I was flying from the Philippines to Guam, and it was dusk, and it was in the middle of the summer, and just, absolutely glorious. It was a beautiful sunset, and I had a 35 millimeter camera, Olympus, I think it was Olympus OM10, and I pointed it out the window, and I snapped a picture of this sunset. Now, when I had this photo developed, because this was back in the days ready to take it somewhere, the gal at the photo, she came up, she said, "Where did you take that picture?" I'm like, "Oh, she says, "You got a picture here that's amazing." And I'm like, "Why?" So she actually had it upside down. So when she showed it to me, it looks like you're on the edge of space looking down on the globe. And it's just this optical illusion. I'll find that picture and I'll scan it. And it looks a lot like this picture, but only from an airplane. And I saw this picture, and I was like, "Well, I got one like that." But mine was at definitely a different altitude, only 25,000 feet. And what's International Space Station at 300, So anyway, I'll have this for you. I'll see if I can find that picture and get it scanned. The progress of Google getting back into China is still ongoing. If you're into science and you want your kids to get a good science project, you can virtually dissect frogs now right from your computer screen in different types of science projects. I think that's pretty cool. I got 2 or 3 articles here that I have linked up in the show notes. We're running long on time already, but I want you to pay attention to paper.li. It allows you to create a newspaper from your Twitter stream. Where's that article I wanted to share with you guys? Did I already go buy it? I hope I didn't. Oh, here it is. It's an article on GigaOM, and it says, "What to read today, American jobs, Google, Nokia, and unsocial networks." The article, you don't pay attention to the article. I'll have this starred in the show notes. You want to look at the 216-page PowerPoint, Death by PowerPoint, but it's worth it. It's called the Real Life Social Network V2. This is absolutely a great PowerPoint. You want to take the time to go through it. Send me some feedback. Those of you that go through all 216 pages, please send me an email back on what you liked about this. Again, I'll have it started in the show notes for you to find it. Got a couple things here in CNET. One thing is Democrats are now pushing for a new internet sales tax. So this isn't, that scam email that goes around every couple of years. They're actually proposing to force us all to pay sales tax on internet purchases on out-of-state stuff. So that's being pushed by Representative Bill Delahunt out of Massachusetts. So get on the phone with him and start pestering him on why he's bringing that to the house. And also, the entire Steve Jobs email story, the folks over at Boy Genius Report, we said on the last show that it was supposedly it was false, or actually a scam. This guy at Boy Genius Report is saying vehemently, no, this is not a scam. Was a real email exchange. He's got pretty compelling evidence, and if Apple PR is actually trying to cover on this one, they're going to have to really, really explain it. Okay, let me go ahead here. We're going to run long. Let me go ahead and get into the show notes. Actually, the voicemail and the email, and go ahead and play the. I got three voicemails tonight. Again, 619-342-7365 is the voicemail number. geeknews@gmail.com is the telephone number. Here we go on the first voicemail.
Good day.
Good day.
Mark here. Listen, I love this podcast, but I love this show. But seriously, what kind of show is this? Great News Central Podcast? Oh, darn it. My 3 shows called After Dark, Afternoons, and even elsewhere on the 3 set of programs on my Marcel 6 page at ustream.tv. So as always, we love to hearing from you. Check out my site. You're going to love it, and you're going to love this channel. Bye.
Hey, love to hear your pitch, but we need to know what the domain is. You said on Ustream somewhere. Call us back and tell us the domain name. Do you have a website, or is it just on Ustream? Yes, this is the Geek News Central podcast. Thanks for calling, and good day. Call back. Tell us what your website is. Got to learn to pitch it right, my friend. You can pitch, but you tell them where to go. Everyone's like, I don't know where to go. Did anyone get that? I didn't. All right, here comes the next voicemail.
Hey, Todd. This is Clint calling from Houston, Texas.
Hey, Clint.
I've really been enjoying the last few episodes of Geek News Central, and I wanted to comment on a few things. But one interesting thing happened to me a few days ago. I could not find my Bluetooth headset until I finally went and got out my laundry that day, and somehow or another, my Bluetooth headset ended up being washed in the laundry. However, I gave it a few days. It dried out on its own. It's working now, working great. And but on a more serious note, I do think that people who are not upset about the FCC having these so-called closed-door meetings need to speak up, need to call their Congress people and let them know that they're concerned about that, how that's going to perhaps have everything go the wrong direction for consumers when it comes to high-speed internet or sources of phone service. Also, concerning the iPhone 4G, or more properly the iPhone 4, as it should be called, Apple seems to have done nothing about the confusion between 4 or 4G, and have let people think that they'll be getting 4G speeds. And why they have not had a disclaimer about this, or why they have not cautioned the customers that this is not a 4G speed phone, it is the 4th iPhone we produced. So I think that Apple is going to take one going to take a hit for that one. But in the meantime, I've had an HD2 since March, as you may recall. I really like the phone. I have been able to find other ROMs you can put on it to make the interface look a little bit slicker. There is talk about Android becoming available for this phone, not of course from T-Mobile, but through a site called xdadevelopers.com that deals with hacking and modding phones. It's a very good, very cool site. And also, can you discuss the software that you're using now to watch TV? I saw your article where you have ended your Dish Network subscription, and I would want to go ahead and end my Comcast subscription and do the same thing, except for my wife, she may not want to do something fooling around with Hulu or Juice or stuff like that. So how has this new software made it easier for you or for her? Anyway, enjoy the show and keep up the good work. Bye-bye.
Hey, that switchover was by Trucker Tom. I have not cut my cable connection here. If I did, I would have a revolt on my hands by my kids. We don't watch that much TV, but what stuff that they watch is just not available yet via the internet. But we're close. We really are. Just a few more channels get on the internet, we should be able to make the switch. But Trucker Tom has, so I'm sure he'd be more than happy. You're going to be seeing stuff by Tom in the blog talking about his transition from cutting cable, and I'm sure he's going to be keeping us advised on how that is progressing. Matter of fact, one of the articles I just highlighted earlier tonight was exactly that. Here's the next, actually, speaking of Trucker Tom, here's a voicemail from him. We'll go ahead and play that. And, hey, thanks for calling, Clint. Take care down there in Texas. And thanks. Look forward to your next comments from us. All right, here we go from Trucker Tom.
Hey, Todd. Tom Wiles here, a.k.a. Trucker Tom. I'm a little bit behind. I was listening to show 588, and you were talking about the cost of iPhone components versus what they actually sell it for, along with a number of other devices, iPads and the Nexus One, the Palm Pre, so on and so forth. Now, one thing, it's easy to think, well, the components cost this much, they're making too much money. But you have to take into account the research and development costs.
True.
How long, for example, has Apple been working on the iPad? How much money in terms of wages, research, and development have they been expending to get to the point of being able to create a device like an iPad, for example? And that would apply to any other sort of device. So there is the cost of development. Now, on the other side of the coin, I'm one of the people that kind of complains I've been complaining for a long time that Apple devices are more expensive, and you in order to run OS X, for example, you kind of do pay a little bit of an Apple tax.
Yep.
But I have to admit that they pretty much do their homework most of the time, except when it comes to antennas, on their engineering, on the engineering side, with either software or hardware. In a capitalist system, we have to keep this in mind.
True.
That just the cost, a lot of times people with drugs, for example, they say, oh, these drugs are so expensive. Well, there's a research and development cost that has to be taken into account. The difference between the cost of the components versus the final retail price is not all profit. In any case, keep up the great work. We'll catch you later.
Hey, Tom, you're exactly right. And, we sometimes we forget about that. And they probably have got $100 million or more in R&D just to get the iPad ready. Or probably more. I don't know what... You have to look at their budgeting line and find out what their R&D cost is a year. And you can almost be guaranteed a large portion of it up to the iPad was probably... release was probably in that. So... thanks for your comments and giving us good perspective there. We can get an email here from Chris. Hey, he says, hey, Todd, but May of 1985? He says, this has to be one of your funniest slip-ups or Toddisms that I've ever heard. Basically, I said GoDaddy had been a sponsor since 1985. Really, they've been here, Chris, since 1995. He goes on to say, I'm laughing with you, not at you. You're still a great show host and doing much better than any of us could. But I couldn't let this one slip by. Thanks for a great show, Chris in Florida. You're absolutely right. 1985. Oh, my goodness. That was a good one. He got an email from Ron. He said, my podcatcher would not download the show, so I went to the Geek News website and tried to download it from there. No go. Clicking on the button, latest spawns a window, but just doesn't play. Viewing Ustream Live sort of works, but it starts midstream. I shall investigate other options. Ron, it was your lovely host here. Fat fingering something, and yeah, the show was unavailable for about 4 hours until I got about 30 emails from people saying, hey, your show's not available. So it can't, it's just me. Got an email from Michael who said, hey, Todd, I really like the new format of the newsletter. I'm curious, with the GNC logo, is the which GNC logo is the current and official? I'm pretty sure the smaller one in the top right is the current one. Then why are you still using the older G version? No biggie, just curious. I had a spot to fill, and I just put it in there. So that was why, Mike, because we haven't got the template worked out yet. So I had to put something there. Got an email from Dave. He said, "Hey, Todd, hope all's well. I was wondering if you could drop into your cast at some stage something about Google Docs and MSN service along with their online storage choices. I can't make up my mind which one is best." Hey, Google Docs is great as far as doing docs and stuff online. I don't use MSN at all. Google Docs is free. I use it a lot, so I really don't have anything to compare it on MSN. Maybe someone else would be able to chime in here if they've got some delta or some takeaways between MSN service and Google Docs. I got an email here. Oh, another one from Trucker Thompson. I was doing Google research, doing a Google search, and stumbled across this very interesting PDF file that talks about how big of a threat over-the-top TV is. There's really no new information in that we already are aware of, but it's interesting reading about it from a negative threat perspective, Tom. And I don't have time to go into the full article, but I'll have it linked up in the show notes for you guys to check out on OTT. Got an email from Adam. He said, "Todd, first of all, thanks for a great show and the info you deliver each and every week. Stay up with tech. During the warm months here in Indiana, I look forward to cutting the lawn on Saturday. I load up both shows for the week on my iPod and listen while I'm cutting for 3 hours. Goodness great. 3 hours? The length of 2 shows is almost enough to cover the entire cutting session, except when you run short, not like today. A couple of questions for you. For current customers of GoDaddy, how are your promo codes entered? I guess I should contact GoDaddy really on renewals, on domains. ComSale is about the only code that will work. Now, if you have hosting accounts, you can definitely use the code to get a reduction on hosting accounts, but almost any other non.com domains, really, it's very hard to get a savings on. That ComSale one is one to use. Number 2, are you still looking for blog writers for your site? I think right now, Adam, I'm full up. We've got pretty good posting by everyone that's on the team, and I just have to watch how the numbers run, whether or not I can afford to put another person on. It's basically all about if I can bankroll it. So I'll keep you in mind. And but we're always looking. If people want to contribute for free, and you're willing to come in and start that way, that's fine too. We're willing to take on folks that would be willing to write for free initially, and as I can add more dollars to the bloggers, then we could do that. I got a email from Jason. He says, "Hey Todd, sorry I haven't sent." Oh, basically Jason was the one that did the video file. He's going to be sending that to me. He's been out, had some computer problems. Tom sent us 52 cool facts about social media. I'll have that linked up in the show notes. Got an email from Dan. Said, "Hey Todd, I just want to drop you a line and say I really think the writers that you have on the website are doing a great job. They've really given the GNC website a new life in my book. I love that they cover all types of news and articles, and it has really changed the way I use the website now. Plus, I'm sure that it gives you more time to work on other things as well. Keep up the great work you're doing. Thanks again for the great show and great website to boot." Dan, thank you so much. And this is just a testament to all the writers over there doing great work. Got an email here from Stephanie. He says, "Hey, Todd, you mentioned in your show that a viewer listener suggested a roundtable type segment of your show for your show. I'm usually up really late, as you saw me in the chat room many times during your live show, and I believe you go live at 2 a.m. Eastern. I work out of my home studio, so if you want to try the roundtable, let me know. I'd be willing. Thanks." It's Stephen, of course, runs the Tech Buzz over at techbuzz.net. Check his show out. I'll definitely keep that in mind. I don't know if I'm really ready to add another person at this point, but it might be worth it to do it once in a while. Have a kind of cool segment. Last email is from Jim. He says, "Hey, Todd, I don't know if you already talked about this or not, but here's a video that shows that homemade nuclear fusion reactor. He bought the parts on eBay and got the chemical FedEx to him from a company in New Jersey. My gosh, is this a video?" So thanks for that, Jim. Hey, everyone, we're long. Got to go. Everyone take care. We'll see you on the next show. That rhymed. geeknews@gmail.com. geeknews@gmail.com. Voicemail hotline is 619-342-7365. Thanks for hanging with me. Thanks for being a subscriber. Thanks for being part of the Ohana. We'll see you next time. Excited to be with you. Thursday, 8 p.m. Hawaiian Standard Time is what time we record, or the show comes out every Tuesday and Friday morning. Everyone take care, and aloha.